I was
How's it
jamming
going,
out.
everybody?
I was getting into it.
She's throwing her hair back. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt her mini concert. My bad. My bad. I know what it feels like when you get in the groove.
Yeah.
Wow, what a way to introduce the show today. Hey, it's your boy Jay McLovin here in the Whiskey Hour, and it is a water cooler show. So, hey, that's how we roll on this show. We like to have a good time, nothing too crazy, nothing too scripted, just two people having a good damn time talking music. And today I got just a tiny bit, nothing much, just a little bit of Jack Daniels and a little bit of soda. No big deal. No big deal. It's a Whiskey Hour. I feel like we should be. I mean, she's got a Red Bull. You know what's funny? And I'm going to send you a picture when the show is over this. But the fact that, so I got a friend of mine that I do a podcast show called Coast to Coast. It's a sports show. And we were talking about today about energy drinks and how we, a lot of people thrive on them. And
Yeah.
he works at Home Depot. That's his nighttime job. And when the guy comes in with the Red Bull distributor and they put all the Red Bull out there on their showcases, well, he grabs up, he'll grab his first couple of cases because for free, or not for free, but with a discount. And I kid you not, Celeste, this kid had $600 worth of Red Bull in a shopping cart. $600 of Red Bulls. And I'm like,
well, if you're working night shifts.
I'm just saying, I don't know what his kidneys or his liver looks like, but he is a
know
very
what my
high-strung
kidneys look
individual.
like. Oh, I seem to be, people think I'm super laid back, but like in a bubbly way.
You are very bubbly. That's why I like talking with you. Speaking of that, real quick, Noah Kahan, one of his songs, I think it's called No Confidence, I want to think is the name of it. His opening line is about not taking himself too seriously, right? And then when he talked, and the first thing I thought about was, yeah, I know for a fact that I do not take myself too seriously at all. And in all honesty, Celeste, and your personality, and as I've gotten to know you over this length of time, I feel like you're the type of person too that does not necessarily take themselves too seriously. You just like having fun in life and enjoying what it brings. And I think that's an amazing way to look at things.
I agree. There's no way to I feel like if you try to take yourself too seriously, you start putting yourself in different boxes. I have to do this, and then it's a competition. It's like, whoa.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, and especially, one of the things about Noah Kahan and what he talks about is being comfortable in your skin, being comfortable with who you are as an artist or even as a person in general. And he struggles a lot with that. I know he struggles with anxiety. I know he struggles with depression. I know he struggles with body dysmorphia. And he goes on to talk about, he's like, man, I sweat a lot. And it's hard to look good in clothes when you're full of sweat. And so I know he goes on to talk about in a lot of his videos, as a matter of fact, one specific video, he dressed himself up in what he thinks, or what the artists put themselves, all the crazy costumes that the artists wear. And he kind of did that as a spoof to that, right? To not take yourself so seriously and get over that. Were you tracking that video that he did that in? I don't know if you had heard that or saw it.
So I'm a big Noah Kahan fan. So the Noah Kahan stuff that I had you watch is actually from his first album, which is not what made him take off. His second album is when he finally started to take off with things like Stick Season and Dial Drunk and those songs. But I'm a huge first album fan of Noah Kahan. They're both good, but the first album, I just felt like had this cool, it kind of had this pop ed and some of these other things. And it talked about some things that we've mentioned before with some of the alt rock guys, with that depression and anxiety and the figuring out how to work through it through art. And so I was like, this would be the perfect artist to talk about.
Oh, no doubt about it. And again, I just, I feel like, and there's a lot of singers that really put their life issues into their music. And I know another one that really does that really well is Blue October, Justin Furstenfeld. He struggles from bipolar disorder, and he is very open to the point where he's written books about it. He's had concert tours all about it. And it's just something that he's brought that to the forefront, and not a lot of artists are really open about that. And I feel like he's one of the few that is
Right.
extremely open about that. If you like today's stuff, make sure you hit us up on our socials. We're all over the place, as you can see. Also, you can find Celeste Marie Wilson at CelesteMarieWilsonMusic.com. Very easy to find. And you can also find her on Facebook as well. But yeah, let's get into it. Also, hey, by the way, use that promo code ESEN for 10% off. You don't have to buy $600 of energy drinks to keep yourself up and awake. You can just get you a little bottle of Dubby and put a little bit into your shaker bottle and carry that with you for a much cheaper price at ESEN for 10% off. Put that in mind. And without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start it off with T-Pain. No, actually, no, I tell you what. No, I want to end it with T-Pain because that's kind of a more of a funnier, lighter side of things. So let's start off with the heaviness, and then we'll get into the lighterness of today's show. So again, we're going to start off with Mr. Noah Kahan. This is him at New York during that concert, which he describes that room as a coffee house type environment. And I got to agree with him. It's very coffee house environment, which goes really nice with the Tiny Desk concert of T-Pain.
Yeah, it was the closest I could get to Tiny Desk because Noah Kahan.
No, that's fine.
I thought he had been, but he wasn't. He hasn't been on Tiny Desk. I was like, oh.
I think that's just a matter of time, to be honest with you. I think it's a matter of time before he's on Tiny Desk. I think what he did it there in that particular setting sets him up perfectly for Tiny Desk because it just shows you how well he can perform in that type of setting as well as the big stage settings. But yeah, let's get into Mr. Noah Kahan. And I like what you did here, Celeste. I really do. As you guys know, previously in episodes with Celeste, she had picked out Hozier as one of her artists to review. And it's interestingly enough how you brought his protege in after that to talk about it, because that's exactly what he is. If you ask Noah Kahan, Hozier was a very big influence on his writing and the way he does his music.
He is, yes. And not only that, but they've had like songs where they've collabed before and stuff.
Yeah, Northern
Attitude.
Thank you. Northern Attitude. That is 100% correct. This particular concert here we're doing was the songs he chose for this particular concert was off of the Busy Head album. That was his debut album, if I'm not correct, Celeste. Am I right on that?
That is correct. That was his debut album.
Okay. And again, he talks about being comfortable in his skin. He talks about how going in, and I love how he said going into the forest helps him reset himself when he's going through some things or when he's coming off tour or when he's looking for inspiration, during his writing. He always goes back and resets himself in the forest up there. I believe it's in Vermont. If I'm not mistakenly, I think that's where he's from, is Vermont. And it's kind of funny because when he said that, I think like, man, I do this. Obviously we all live out here in Montgomery County, Walker County, whatever. We all live out in the forest at some level with the state forest of Sam Houston all around us. And I find myself doing the same thing. I find when I go in the forest, it's really meditative, Celeste. It really puts you back in touch. It really grounds you because there's nothing out you but you, God, the trees, the birds, and whatever critter might be roaming around. And
I agree. It's just me and Mr. Possum,
Man, Mr. Possum. Me and Blue have found many opossums. I don't know the look of fear in that poor little critter's eyes when he sees Blue, but Blue just wants to be his friend Celeste, but he doesn't understand that.
See, the possum has a look of fear when they see my dog Dipper, but Dipper doesn't want to be his friend. He wants to eat. I'm like,
well, I don't blame old Dipper. Sometimes you have to go back to nature to find your food sources, which is nothing wrong with that. It might be completely healthy because I don't know how much GMOs are out there in those forest animals versus what we put in our dog food. So maybe it's healthy to let him eat the possum. I don't know.
I think I spoil my dog because I do make his own dog food. I make his dog food by hand.
Melanie did that same thing, and I thought she was. We had to call a dog named Dirk. And Dirk had real bad skin allergies. And so the vet said, hey, you should try doing this, this, and this. And so Melanie she'd go to the store, she'd buy the chicken, the broccoli, whatever she put in that concoction. And she'd make Dirk's food all the time. And I'm like, God, that's a lot of work to feed a dog. But she loved that dog, Celeste. She loved that dog like I love Blue. So I get it. What we do for our animals is what we do for our babies.
I feed my dog. You go to the grocery store, you're like Have you ever been to Fiesta? I love Fiesta.
I do freaking love Fiesta. I used to go to Fiesta there on I-10 over in North
Uh,
Shore. It's a one-stop
when you
shop,
go to
Celeste.
Fiesta, you go and they got bags of chicken legs.
Yes, they do.
And you buy yourself a couple $10 bags of chicken legs. And you cook yourself all those chicken legs. And then you peel the chicken off. And you are making dog food. And I ended up making dog food that was cheaper than getting dog food from a bag.
You do know you can go to Fiesta. I mean, you can go to HEB and they have, I want to say it's like 10-pound bags of chicken legs for like $5, just so you're
Oh
tracking.
my God, don't tell me that.
I'm just letting you know that's just one friend helping out another friend. Next time you buy your chicken, just go check out HEB. They got those leg thigh quarters for like $5 or $6, and you'll get a lot of chicken off that. Just a little thoughtful. Put out
Right.
there in the world for you.
I just go to Fiesta because it's close to my house.
Hey, I don't blame. Look, I used to go to Fiesta all the time because this is a one-stop shop. I can get my clothes, I can get my jewelry, I can get homeowners insurance, I can get auto insurance, I can go grocery shopping, I can buy a whole hog. I mean, it all in one sitting. How much better does it get than that? I'm sorry, this is not a Fiesta commercial, but there is a lot of things you can get
Why
at
can't it
Fiesta.
be?
And if you don't live here in the sunny state of Texas and you don't have a Fiesta near you, well, I am so sorry for that.
They
Because you are
probably don't have
truly
an
missing out.
HEB near them either, then, Jay.
They may
This
not
is
have an
like a
HEB.
very Texas centric. Kroger's
Yeah.
okay.
I'm sorry. I can
Kroger's
only help out
there.
when I can help out. Celeste, I can't help out the whole world. We got the
No.
whole world in his. I'm sorry. No, we're not going to sing that today. But no, back on track. For those of you that don't know, maybe Noah Kahan's style of music, he is an American folk pop singer. So and I gotta Celeste, the more I talk with you, the more you share music with me, the more I actually find myself liking folk music. And I never thought in my life that I would like folk music. Never in my life did I think I would like folk music. But you know what?
You do?
This is why I do this show with you, because it broadens my horizons. No, seriously, and I really truly
Yeah.
mean that. It really broadens my horizons, and I feel like I'm growing in this journey, and I hope maybe you're growing as well in this journey with
I
me.
feel like I'm growing. I probably wouldn't have listened to most of like the 90s rock stuff if I hadn't.
Man, no, I got it. But yeah, I like how Noah and again Hosier has the same ability, which I see, and I see a lot of, when I first heard the voice, my instantaneously went to Too Sweet, and I went to instantaneously about that church song that he has, and the angels and I'm not dead or whatever. I can't remember all these title names, but you know the songs I'm speaking of, and if you don't know, go back and watch a Hosier and you'll figure it out. But he sounds so much like him,
He does.
so much like it's crazy.
He's a
And the
baby
high
this
notes
year.
and the high notes that he hits is just beautiful. Like they're not strained. They're so easy when he hits them.
It's like I think it's in my opinion, because both Hosier and Noah Kahan are categorized under alternative now. And
That
what
makes
I
sense.
find interesting about that is the change of alternative from the 90s to present
Yes.
day. And however, despite the sonic shift into a more folk atmosphere, we're still seeing the same topics talked about in the alternative genre, even though the musicality underneath is different.
Yes. Yes,
And
very
so
much
it's
so.
like it's like in the 90s, like I very much could hear a lot of the 90s alt kind of bands singing something like false confidence,
Yes.
but in their style, and vice versa. So I think it's cool to see how these genres like progress and kind of like keep the root of what they were while they change. It's like right now the I think the really I don't want to say rebellious, but I guess rebellious thing to be in general is to be soft, because with social media and everything, it's so like already hard and intense and very like demanding of your attention. And so the rebellious thing now is to be very soft and very gentle, when before the
Yes.
rebellious thing was to be loud, because that was the opposite of what everything was. And so it's cool how the genre shifts what is going on, depending on what's going around around them, kind of thing.
Right. And I think, you're right. When you listen to a lot of the 90s music about pain and angst and all the things that he's talking about, you're right. They did their music coming from an anger perspective of it, and you felt the anger coming from them. And so sometimes the anger kind of takes away from the message that they're trying to give you. And I think one of the singers, and I'm not trying to go back to AIC because I love AIC. I'm going back to AIC because of Lane Staley. And when you listen to Lane Staley, he dealt with his pain, but he talked about his pain. Like Lane Staley, he did not hide any of his life from anybody. He put all of his pain, all of his struggles with addiction, everything got put into his music. But the way he did it was he just told you about it rather than yelling at you about it. And I think that is probably the closest in that time period that I have found talking about those types of issues and the way that Lane did it as the way that Noah does it and the way Hoser does it. It's just a very calming way to say, look, these are the things. And even Justin Furstenfeld, they're very calm in the way they tell you about their struggles and things like that, to where their message has more weight because you're feeling in their emotions and not so much in the anger coming at you.
Yeah, I think some of it too, though, is that there's such a place for those really angry songs because anger
Right.
is such a taboo emotion.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
sadness, we feel bad for them that they're sad, and joy, we're excited for them, but anger, we kind of like we don't want to talk about it. So finding a way to talk about anger in its most extreme form is
Right.
important. And then finding a way to talk about anger like Hosier does and Take Me to Church.
Yes.
Where
Yes.
he's angry, but the anger is more like this. It's more subdued, but it's still there. It's a different type of anger.
Yes. Some of the key quotes, and not quotes, but some of the titles of his songs that I thought were interesting about that was Pain is Cold Water. I get that. That's a really amazing way to compare what pain feels like, is when you put yourself in cold water and what that feels like. So I get that. That's probably the easiest way I've ever seen anybody talk about or describe pain. The way he described it in such a small little sentence, I thought that was hugely impactful.
Yeah, I agree.
Then he goes on to, and this is another one I thought was really, 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 it hit me pretty hard and it resonated pretty hard with me. Was he also goes on and says, I got dreams, but can't make myself believe them. That's huge. Like, I know a lot of people out there that says, you know what? I got a dream of being a singer. I want to go out there and I want to do these things and I want to get on stage and I want to be able to do all these great things. And I'm using that as one thing because we were talking musically, but to actually go out there on that stage and do it and make it come to fruition, that's a whole nother level. To actually believe in yourself enough to go out and
To do
actually
that.
fulfill those dreams.
Well, and it's also like the flip side of I have dreams, but I can't let myself believe them I think there's like the double thing of before it happens, the being too scared to do anything, and then the after it happens of the I have a dream, but I can't make myself believe it like I don't feel worthy of it. Like I'm here, but it's not like do you know what I'm trying to say?
Well,
That
absolutely.
that like self-imposed, no, I'm not actually doing it kind
Right.
of thing. Like
And
a lot of people experience that where you get somewhere and you have made progress, but your brain kind of like tricks you into thinking you're like a fraud or you haven't made progress or anything like that?
right. I totally agree. And I think one of the biggest things that I've experienced in my friendship with you and watching you grow from the first time I met you at Springboard to where you are now, and being at that dive bar venue that you went to, and you put yourself out there with no rehearsal time, no nothing. Like you would just put yourself out there, and it turned out well. And I don't know how many artists can say I feel comfortable enough and who I am as an artist to go out there and do that. That takes a level of bravery that I don't know that I would have had to do that. I'll be honest, I don't know if I could have done that. But when I watch you do it, and it tells me, damn, if this girl can put a song together without ever having played a note of it, just writing down lyrics and thinking the melodies in her head, and goes out there and does it to a crowd that's not even her type of crowd in terms of what her music would typically be catered to, and then be able to watch those people embrace you and embrace the songs and be great about it. Those are the things I think for you as an artist, what grows, and I got to know your self-confidence grows from putting yourself out there monumentally over and over again. Because not many people have artistry or have enough belief in themselves, like what he's talking about, to do that.
No, that's 100% true. And it's like some of it I think is also finding yourself in a spot where you have to have that confidence,
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
Sometimes we find ourselves in like a difficult situation, and when we get there, we kind of have to choose. Like when you're really, really hurt, you kind of have two choices. You can sit there and go, this really, really hurts, and hope someone comes and kind of bandages you up emotionally. Or you can get up and go, this really, really hurts, but I'm going to go get my groceries.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of times the people who I found are very positive, have, even though they don't talk about it, have been through a lot. And so it's like finding that, oh yeah, this hurts, this just hurts. And that is what it is. And I have to get up and I have to keep going. And I'm gonna, put on put on my jacket, put on my shoes, go outside, and since it hurts, it's telling me that I'm strong enough to do this scary thing. You
Yes.
know? And it's like once you kind of already know like how bad something can feel, then it makes everything else less scary.
I 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. And the last quote that he did that I thought really read, this is the one that really got me, Celeste. This is the one that really got me, because I see, and I think a lot of us out there, especially when you're listening to this broadcast, especially when we cut this up into clips and we put this out onto TikTok and so forth, a lot of people I think need to hear this, because I think this is a very profound thing that is very real. And what he says is, don't let the darkness fool you. All lights turned off can be turned on. That is hugely impactful, because I think a lot of people go through this life thinking like, damn, whatever. If I didn't get a good outing, or didn't get a good expectation of what I thought was going to happen here, it doesn't mean that that's the end all be all, that it's done and over with. No, because somewhere down the line, if you improve on whatever it is you didn't do the first time out, you could turn that light, or you could turn that situation back around if you have confidence in yourself enough to do so.
No, I 100% agree. It's like finding the way, like anything that's even slightly negative can turn out to be a very positive thing. Like, I ended up dropping out of college. I had good grades and everything, but I ended up dropping out of college because I wanted to pursue music full time. And when I dropped out of college, it seemed like socially as this bad thing. And it felt like for a little bit this kind of like negative thing. But if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have met Barry Coughing. I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have been able to go to Nashville. I wouldn't have recorded what I recorded. I wouldn't have my music videos. None of that would have happened. And so it's
Right.
like, even if something kind of negative happens, it's that idea of like, it's not forever. It's just a moment.
Absolutely.
Don't
I
let
feel like,
one bad day be your whole life.
amen. Amen. Because I always feel like, because I'm the same way. College just wasn't my thing, and so I didn't do well with it. And I got discouraged by a math teacher that really didn't really want to help me out to understand what was going on. Even though I went to her office hours, she really just didn't care if I learned it or not. And so that really turned me off to college to a point where I got depressed. I dropped out, and I found myself, not knowing what I was going to do with my life, and I was only like 19. I think I was like 19 going on 20, and I was just a lost person. And my dad came to me, one night, and he said, when one door closes, Jay, another door will open. And and the door that opened up for me was, I said, well, I don't know what I want to do with myself, and I got to figure this out. So I'm just going to go in the military. I know they got a college tuition program there. I can get in that. And if I want to go back to school, I know it's paid for. And so I went that direction, and it actually wound up being more of a career for me at that point. And it was a good career. It provided for my family. It put me where I am now. And so when that one door in college and that one teacher discouraged me enough to close that door, another door opened up to another life, and I was able to excel there. Just kind of like in your situation where college necessarily wasn't working out for you. So you closed that door, but then you opened up the door for music. And now look how much further down the road you are. And Celeste, I don't know how you were in college. I didn't know you back then. But I know you now, and I see where you are in your career, and I see where you are now, and I've watched you around your family, and I know the family support system that you've had. I met your sister, I met your brother, I met your father, all amazing people. And when you have a support system like that, a door will open it up. And when it opens up, you have to be prepared for that door. And I think that's what you've done. You have prepared yourself for that door relentlessly. And now that that door is open, you are full-fledged going through it. And it's amazing. Like I said, when one door closes and another door opens, or when one light turns off, another light turns on, and you have to be ready. You have to be ready for that one. When that door closes, you have to be ready for when that door opens up again. So when you hit that door, you're ready to ground running. And I think that's what you've done. That's what I did. And I hope that anybody listening to this podcast will learn that as well. That if you find yourself in a door that's closed and you don't know what's going on, I promise you, stay the course and be prepared. Prepare yourself, because when that door opens up again for whatever it is, be ready to run through it, because that's your next opportunity in life. And they don't come very often, but when they come, you got to be ready for it.
And that's, on that note, that's a part of the thing my mom and I talk about all the time. It's like the best way to learn is to fail. And my favorite thing I can hear from someone is no. Not because I'm going to change their mind or anything like that, but because it always teaches me more. Like,
Absolutely.
Of course, winning an award is fun. It's fun. You get to dress up. It's nice. But it's also just as important, if not more important, to sit there and do all the work and lose.
Right.
And it kind of is you sit there for a minute, you're like, oh, dang, I worked really hard. But then you're also sitting there and you're like, but everyone else in this room worked really hard. Which means if I want to keep moving forward, I have to get up and I got to work harder. And it's like that kind of stuff is, I think, good for you.
Absolutely. I know one of the things I read about an artist that we'll talk about at a later date, and hopefully have on the show at a later date soon. Scotty Austin. One of the things I will tell you about him is he said that from a musician standpoint, he never really concerned himself so much with the awards. All he concerned himself about was, are there butts in the seats? And if there's butts in the seats, that's really all the validation you need as an artist. Because, a lot of those awards, can be based on a number of criteria or a number of people's viewpoints. But in my opinion, the only really viewpoint that matters is people in the seats. And if there's people in the seats, that means they're digging what you're putting down. And they're digging what you're putting down. That means you're doing the right thing, right?
No,
and sometimes you get recognized and sometimes you don't. But if them fans are in the seats and if them fans are listening to you play, that should be more than enough validation for anybody.
Absolutely. Even then, sometimes you have a show and it's pretty empty. It's like nobody always has a full show. So however you measure success, sometimes you fail. But when you do, it's like, if you have an empty show, you sit there and you go, why? What did I do different? Did I do anything different? Is it the day? Is there something happening? And by learning that way, it makes it so that next time your show is more full.
Right.
Because now you know.
And don't let it kid yourself. A couple of things come to mind. A couple of people come to mind. Number one, Michael Jordan says, and he has said on numerous times, I've heard him say it, that success comes from failure. You have to fail before you succeed. So that way you know how to succeed, right? You learn from all your mistakes. That's called experience. And when you got experience on your side, you could do a lot more things, but you have to get your feet wet first, and you can't be afraid to fail. Failure is just a part of life, but it's how you handle the failure, and it's where you go from the failure. That's what matters. And I think a lot of musicians know that, and a lot of people in life have understood that. If you look at Freddie Mercury, when he was with Queen, he was the best thing since sliced bread. But when he went out on his own, he didn't have those people around him reining him in, corralling him, saying, bounce this. And he ultimately failed as a solo artist. But then when he went back to Queen and got back into what his roots were, got back to what got him there, instantaneously, he got fame all over again. I mean, it just failure's a part. Everybody goes through some level of failure at some point in their career. It just happens.
Right.
But it's what you take away from it, right?
It is, and it's like letting it motivate you, not kill you. Like when I was in high school, I had this vocal coach who just swore I could not sing. And like said that I just had my voice was operatic, I couldn't belt, I couldn't sing rock, any of that. Just couldn't. Like swore mean as could be about it too. And like at the time, it felt earth-shattering. Like, oh my gosh, I can't sing the things I want to sing. But then I like kind of sat there and I was like, wait, but she's not singing the songs I am, so I get to choose what I sing. And it's just like that same thing of Michael B. Jordan being cut from his basketball team when he was in high school. I've been cut. I got cut from a singing group. It's like it's just a part of it.
That's insane. That's insane.
You can't let it define what you're gonna do for the rest of your life. You just got to be like, oh, that kind of sucked, and then you just get up and you keep doing it.
It's funny you said that about your music teacher. Not that it's funny like that, but it's funny as more like the ironic version of funny, because Michael. And again, I'm gonna go back to Michael. When Michael was in high school as a basketball player, they didn't start him. They put him on the bench. They said he wasn't any good. He was told that he was no good at the high school level. But I'll be damned if he didn't go to North Carolina and come away with the national championship. And look where Michael's at now. So you can't always believe what people tell you when you're in high school. You got to go out there. And if you believe you got it, then you got to go out there and show them that you have it. And if somebody like Michael Jordan can be said that he was a failure in high school, and now he's the GOAT of his career, what is that high school coach now? What is he thinking? Damn, I guess I got that one wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm sure at some point your musical coach that did that to you and cut you from those, at some point, if she hasn't already said that to herself, she's going to say, damn, I guess I was wrong about Celeste. Because I always found, like Melanie always says, boy, if you want to shut people up, be successful. You want to change the narrative about what people think? Be successful. Because that cures all, right?
It really does. So, the only way to fix things is to work on yourself.
Amen, sister. Amen. Again, it's very interesting that you chose this, man. I love how, I think that's what I like about you. I like how you connect all of your artists. Since I've known you, everything has been, if you guys don't know this by now, go watch episode 1 with Celeste and come back to where we are now. And if you don't see that common thread amongst Celeste, don't let it fool you. She may have blonde hair, but she's very, very intelligent. Very intelligent. And like, I can say that because I'm a blonde person too. So I can say that. Don't think that you're fooling me, young lady. Don't think that I don't see that. I see it. You're not pulling the wool over this guy's eyes.
Playing dumb is important because the strongest move you can have when you're doing something is for someone to underestimate you.
Oh, amen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
I love it when people look at me and they're like, she's just a girl. I'm like, yes, I am.
But I'm a smart one. Okay, let's get into a little lighthearted way to close out the show, and we're going to talk about T-Pain and his Tiny Desk. And by the way, if you guys don't know anything about Tiny Desk concerts, I highly encourage you to go look at the Tiny Desk list of artists, because there is a lot of really good music in Tiny Desk. And I think what I appreciate about Tiny Desk is it allows somebody who has a narrative of being a certain way, they could do a 180 on Tiny Desk and show you that this isn't necessarily who all that I am. And if you notice, I'm gonna say one thing about this, and then I'm gonna turn this over to Celeste, and I'm gonna let Celeste say everything she thinks about her listening to Tiny Desk. Anybody that knows about T-Pain knows that, and he tells you this specifically when the concert first starts. I'm going to put my auto tuner away. And if you don't know about this show, Yeah, I got a few tricks up my sleeve too. And I can reference back to when we talked about auto tune. And I just thought it was interesting that because everybody knows about T-Pain knows he's 100% auto tune. He has a lot of special effects that he does in his music that involves auto tune. And like I said, auto tune has its place. Trust me, it does. If you're trying to achieve a certain effect, auto tune is an amazing thing. But and that's why I like seeing T-Pain on here, because everybody knows T-Pain always knows him as one type of artist, the auto-tune club version in the club doing this thing, right? Electronically, whatever it case is. So now you see a version now of T-Pain raw, stripped, no auto-tune, only his voice. And I've never ever in my life, and I've been around 53 years, and I've been around T-Pain since he first started. And I know T-Pain from the beginning all the way to this. Now, this particular concert was in 2014, but this version of T-Pain I had never even seen before. And when I stumbled upon this version of T-Pain, I had to put this in there, especially as we were talking about the auto-tune. I said, yeah, me and Celeste, we need to cover this one. And this is just another way that Tiny Desk can show somebody's artistic ability when they didn't think that they had that particular skill set. And T-Pain shows you that he is a singer, and no, he does not need auto-tune to sound good singing. And he is a very way of putting club-type lyrics in a soulful R&B approach. Anyway, Celeste, what was your thoughts of T-Pain and Tiny Desk?
So I will say, this Tiny Desk, remember when I sent you Taylor Swift?
Yes.
And you were a T-Swivel doubter.
Yes,
I was a T-Pain doubter when I saw this sent to me. I was sitting there this morning. I was sitting there and I was looking at it and I was like, T-Pain, okay. And then I clicked on it and I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to trust the process. Jay has good music taste. He wouldn't steer me wrong. And I turn it on and I'm like just holding my breath. I'm like this because I'm hoping I like it, but I'm not sure. But then it starts and he makes that joke, the comment about putting his auto-tune in his pocket. And that was kind of funny. And I was like, okay, well, let's see. And then he opened his mouth. And I went, wow. I was like, I was so wrong. And then throughout the entire thing, it was so cool. It's like these things that, like, he sang the melody line that you normally hear, but then like vocal effect things and stuff, he was like riffing on where those kinds of things would be. And I was like, dang. And then the keyboardist too, those synth pad kind of sounds. Oh my gosh. It took it from like this from like the club music. They also slowed it down a little, and it moved it to almost, I would say it was like a fusion between, do you remember like Bruno Mars's first couple of albums?
I do.
Like the ones that were like the synth of what you doing, where you at, you got friends, don't say that. It was like that mixed with kind of a little bit of that Stevie Wonder vocal, where it was like sitting in his voice was just very like, you could, I mean, we weren't hearing pain like we heard with Stevie Wonder, but we were hearing like this, all the emotion just coming out at once, and it was raw and kind of gritty in a way. And I was like, oh, I did not expect that from T-Pain. I thought that
did that to you.
I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was really getting into it at the end. And then finally when the third song ended, I was like, wait, there's not more?
Yeah, he was quick. He's like, I'm gonna give you what I got, and I got to go.
I know.
That's really not his environment.
Oh my god, I feel like it secretly is. Because think about it.
It probably is.
If he's in the studio recording stuff, he still has to write music and whatnot.
Yeah, he does.
It's like, is that what studio time with T-Pain is like? Because it like I started having all these, and it was like I think it showed this versatility that you wouldn't expect. And then the ability to sing, and people don't get this, but it's like when personally, if I'm singing and playing the piano, it's easy to stay on time with myself because I'm doing both things. Now, doing both things kind of throws you off, but you're not going to fall off the rhythm.
Right.
Because you're picking it. But to have somebody play like these synth things that are like hard to keep and beat in time with, and then being able to do it while your melodies don't always hit on the one. That's crazy. I was like, dang.
Yeah,
Go
and he's
off.
very jokingly about being at Tiny Desk. He's like, I ain't never done this kind of thing before. And you can tell that he was, it wasn't something, again, going back to Noah Khan, it's not like that was something that he would be comfortable in his skin doing. You can tell that he was outside of his comfort zones when he did Tiny Desk. Like that wasn't his normal, you can just tell he was out of his element. But the way that even though you out of your element, you can still find artistic beauty. And he did, and he was able to pull it off in a very nice way. And again, the reason why I gave you this version of T-Pain was I wanted you to open your horizons to him as an artist. Like I had to open my eyes to Taylor Swift as an artist. And I think that's the whole point of me wanting to do this show with you, is to see how I could get out of my comfort zones of what I would typically listen to and get out of my quote unquote stereotypes, right? Because we all have our stereotypes. We do. Right. I mean, it just is what it is. We all have our stereotypes, right? Like until I've learned this version of T-Pain, I had a stereotype of him. But then when I listened to it, I was like, damn, he did a 180 on me. And I think that's how it was about Taylor Swift. I had a certain version of Taylor Swift that I just could not get past for the life of me. But then when I heard Taylor Desk, and I heard that version of her, I was like, okay, man, damn, I was wrong. Okay, now and that stereotype of her quickly shed for me. And that's the thing about us as fans, as listeners of music, and as well as artists. You know, it's just interesting how you can put somebody in a category and then label them that category and think they can't anything be else other than that category. And then Tiny Desk gives you the opportunity to show yourself that I know you put me in this category, but how about listening on this side and see if we could get myself in a broader sense of categories? And I think that's what I love about and I would have never known about Tiny Desk had you not brought this to me, Celeste. So I appreciate you because I would have never known about Tiny Desk. And I don't know anybody, and it's other people out there who don't know about Tiny Desk. But
Tiny Desk is fun. I'm an NPR fan.
Yes, I am rapidly getting into this NPR fan thing as well. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful when we grow as listeners to music, and it's beautiful when artists grow and discover themselves in those types of environments. I don't know if T-Pain would have ever thought to do this type of concert had maybe Tiny Desk not been around. I don't know if that would have ever been available to him. And the fact that he took advantage of that, I gotta say, T-Pain, I salute you, Bubba, because you put yourself out there in a raw environment that you had never done, and you did it, Bubba, and you did it well. And I salute any artist that will step outside their comfort zones and go a different direction artistically. I think it improves them as an artist, and I think it improves their music catalog as a whole. So it's an amazing invention.
I agree.
All right. Well, all right, folks, that was it. T-Pain versus Noah Kahan. I hope you guys learned as much from this as I have, and as what Celeste has. That's the whole point of this show, is to grow as listeners and grow as artists that may be listening to this. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing. Celeste, man, I appreciate you, girl. You don't know how much I appreciate your friendship, how much I value you as a person. Literally, man, I feel like I'm growing by the minute, man, and I appreciate it. And stay tuned to next Wednesday. Celeste, you got any final thoughts?
Go watch a Tiny Desk. Just go. Everybody who's watched this, go watch a Tiny Desk of an artist you have never listened to.
Amen. Mm-hmm. There you had it. From the mouth of babes comes experience and wisdom. Until next time, it's your boy Jay McLovin along with Celeste Marie Wilson. We'll catch you next Wednesday, and we'll see what I choose, and we'll see what Celeste chooses. Y'all be good. Peace, love, and happiness.